Hi everyone, in this video we'll try to connect and display data from a database with PHP. For a starter, we need to connect to the database, and to do that, three options are available. At first, we have the MySQL extension providing functions to access MySQL databases. However, these functions are quite old and are less used these days. The second option is the MySQL I extension. That extension provides updated functions to access MySQL database. And the third option is the Pdo extension, which is a very complete tool to access any type of database. That extension is the most recommended one actually, and it is our choice in this tutorial.
To use Pdo with PHP, you should first activate it. Normally, Pdo is activated by default in your system, but it will not harm to check. To check if Pdo is activated or not, you should access the PHP initialization file in your server. To do that, you open a new file and you write a small PHP code with the instruction PHP info that will help us access the PHP information of your server. You save the file with the name PHP info as a PHP file, and you save that at the root of your local server. That being done, go back to your XAMPP, MAM or WAMP, and you load the file you just created. You have access to all PHP information of your system. What you should look for is the loaded configuration file given the address of the php.ini in your hard drive. Using that address, you should locate that PHP file and open it. So here I will just copy and load that file in my navigator to have a little view. While opening the file, you should scroll down and check for a section name extension. So in my system, that section is named Dynamic Extensions, and that's what I'm looking for. Let us scroll down 5 to load Dynamic Extension, which in this section you should locate an instructions having the keyword Pdo. It should be something like this. If this is semicolon in front of the instruction, it means that your Pdo is not activated. You just remove that instruction. Here I don't have a semicolon, it means that my Pdo is activated. Later on, you save the file and it's done. Pdo will be activated for your XAMPP, and you will be able to use the Pdo extension to access and modify your databases.
Having activated Pdo, now we can connect to our database. To do that, you need 4 elements. At first, you need the host name, that is the address of the computer where your server is located. For our case, the host name should be localhost, since we are using a local server. Then you will need the database name. In our case, the name will be test, since our the table we created in a previous video is saved in the database called test. Later on, you will need the login and the password. That will be the login and the password of the database administrator. Having those 4 elements, now you just need to write a Pdo request to access the database. Let's try it.
Connecting the PHP page with the database using Pdo is done with just one simple instruction. Here I open a page saved as database.php. It's an example page to test our instruction. So here I write the first command php, then that's the command to connect the PHP page to Pdo, and that's all. Pdo is an object-oriented extension, so BDD is not a variable here, but an object representing the connection to the database. that connection is done following a specific order. You first call the MySQL, then you write the host name. Here the name is localhost, then you follow with the database name. Here it is test. Later on I put the character setting. I choose it to be UTF-8, the most commonly used character setting. And as the next argument you have the logging of the database. In our case it is root, and at last we have the password, which is also root. For some operating system, the default password is just a blank page, a blank space. So for your system you need to check which default password to use. Me, I'm using MAMP on a Mac OS system, so my password is root. Maybe if you use them with Windows, you should have a space as the password. If your password is different than root, you can write in the comments to notify which password was there and in which system the blank password you're using is. Since we are in a local server, we shall use the default login and the default password. They will be naturally different when the website is online. So if you host your website online, you will create a database, host it in your hosting service, and you will write your username and your customized password here. That's all to connect the page with the database. Use Pdo.
If you correctly entered all the information when connecting to the database using Pdo, naturally nothing should be displayed when you load the PHP page. But if you make a mistake on just one information, naturally an error message will be displayed. But that error message will display all the information you entered. That will include your login and your password, and no one wants that. So you need to treat the error when you connect to the database. Pdo returns what's called an exception, and that exception allows us to treat errors. It allows us to catch the error and hide the critical information that should naturally be displayed in an error message. That's how I propose you to do it.
Now, if we want to control the error generation when connecting to the database, we should make PHP to try the connection at first. And then if an information required for the database connection is not the correct information, an error will be normally generated. So we should catch that error and make Pdo use a special functionality of PHP called exception that is used to store an exception of a condition in a variable. So here that variable should be called E. So catch is a function, so the body of catch would be to generate a message error passing the variable E as an argument of the function getMessage. That's all. Now all my information are good, so normally I should have nothing displayed. See here, nothing is displayed. But if, for example, I don't supply the good password and I want to access the database, an error is displayed. So access denied for user root localhost using password no. So here I'll change this password to, for example, Patrick. It is also a bad password. So we still say access denied for user root localhost using password yes, but access is denied because we didn't give the good password. So changing the password to the correct password. We reload the page and no error is displayed. It means that our page is connected to the database. So here we wrote the PHP code to first try the connection to the database, and if there is not a connection to the database, an error is generated, and that error is generated as an exception that will be displayed using the function getMessage.
We have activated Pdo, we have connected it to our database, and also wrote some PHP instruction to prevent some leaks of our critical information. Now we can query information from our database. That will be done in our future videos. If you like this video, just subscribe. Don't forget to click on the bell button to be notified for future videos. Don't forget, PHP is fun.